Hello and welcome to Law and Life. Hello and welcome to Law and Life to a new episode. In this short lecture, we will deal with the Citizenship Amendment Act 2019. Some pertinent questions we will be dealing with. I am Shashank Mishra as a host with the renowned senior advocate of Supreme Court of India, Subodh Markandeji. Sir, on October 30, 2022, three judges bench presided over by the Chief Justice of India adjourned 243 cases challenging on the Citizenship Amendment Act 2019 to 6 December 2022. What is the Citizenship Amendment Act?
So there are 43 writ petitions before the Supreme Court. 200 pertain to all India. I mean, they are general in nature. Then 40 are specifically related to Assam, and three specifically related to the state of Manipur. So, Citizenship Amendment Act 2019 is the fastest enacted law by Parliament of India. It was passed by Lok Sabha on 10th of December uh, 2019, then by the Rajya Sabha on 11th December 2019, that is very next day, and received the assent of the President on 12th of December 2019, that is next day. So within 3 days, the process of passing the act was completed. It came into force on 10th of January 2020. So within 1 month, it has come into force. It has been rather, rushed through. So debate has been less. Now, as lawyers, we are only concerned with the constitutional and legal aspects of the Citizenship Amendment Act.
Of
It's a
course, sir.
highly controversial piece of legislation. We are not concerned with the political, social, or other aspects of the matter. Now, what is happening here in our case here is that there are 243 writ petitions under Article 32, which are under the consideration of the Supreme Court. So we have heavy constraints within which we can, whatever we can say.
Yes, sir.
So, Uh, Supreme Court is considering the matter in all its variegated dimensions and complexities, and comment as less as possible would be appropriate. So, with that, let us start with this.
Sir, why was the Citizenship Amendment Act needed?
See, uh, this is a problem which deals with the immigration. What has happened in the recent past and in past, this past history is that the six minorities which which are dealt with by this act, that is to say, I'll alphabetically enumerate the Buddhists, the Christians, the Hindus, the Jains, the Parsis, and the Sikhs have been subjected to a very extreme form of persecution in these three countries, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, that has been intermittent. Sometimes when the governments hostile to uh, the minorities have come into uh, power, they have carried this persecution. But during the regime of the daughter of the founder of Bangladesh, that is Sheikh Hasina, the things are far better. And of course, now they are considerably improved. But in the past, there has been persecution of very severe kind, as we will see. And Pakistan is the worst. Pakistan. Those who are interested in knowing this, uh, can refer to a video I think we have put out there. There
Yes,
is
sir.
one by Friday Group where I spoke, but I was not allowed to speak about the Pakistan's atrocities. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm tempted to have one more, episode
Of course, sir,
dealing
we will have it.
specifically with what has happened in Pakistan all these years after independence. It's a
Yes,
very,
sir.
it's a genocide. No one, no, in the whole world, no one has taken note of it. It's a very, very serious kind of situation. It never improves because Pakistan, has been under the military rule, and the last dictator, General Zia, was a very tyrant kind of person.
Yes,
And
sir.
so this is a problem of essentially immigration. In order to understand why Citizenship Amendment Act has been uh, passed, we must understand the past. It has been a very horrible situation for minorities in these three countries. I would exclude, Bangladesh slightly, but Afghanistan and Pakistan, particularly, now Taliban is under control of Afghanistan. They don't allow even their own citizens, their women, to get educated. And children are also suffering because girls' education is under threat. So these are some of the very serious problems. It should not be taken so lightly at his end. So let us start. Now,
So,
the
yes, sir.
Citizenship Amendment Act was needed because uh, the immigrants have to rush, they have to get out of that country to uh, escape the persecution. So there has been very large scale, as we shall see presently, very
Yes, sir.
large scale immigration from these three countries of these six minorities, which I have noted. So it was needed because, see, what happens, the immigrant is rushing out of that country in dire consequences. So he is not having any documents, etc. So, in the definition of the Citizenship Act, he is an illegal immigrant. Now, illegal immigrant is not qualified to apply also for the acquisition of citizenship of India. So, they had to, this act, tries to ease the situation for this kind of person. So, in that sense, it's a special measure for certain uh, class of six religious minorities uh, who have immigrated from these three countries. So let's see. The persecution of six communities uh, in three countries named there is justified on the basis of demographic data. And the seeds of persecution embedded in the constitutions and laws, particularly of Pakistan. According to, let us see now, some people have researched this. There's a famous author called Krishan Gopal.
Yes,
He
sir.
wrote in Demography of Punjab, which was published in 2004 in the Journal of Punjab Studies, volume 14, number 1, pages 3 to 9, that in 1941, when the last census took place in Pakistan, that is under the British rule, the areas which are now, Pakistan. The census showed that the population of undivided Punjab comprised of Muslims 53.25%, Hindus 29.1%, Sikhs 14.9%, Christians 1.9%. There is no data about the other two minorities. So just see, there were vibrant minorities in what is now Pakistan. So in the province of Pakistan, the population of Hindus, Sikhs, Christians diminished to less than 1%. So we have a loss of such a huge population, just see,
Yes, sir.
uh, 29 plus 14. So, uh, so, so just see, about 35% of the population has been wiped off. So either they have been driven out of Pakistan, or uh, if we make a if we make that part two of this episode, I will show how Pakistan has treated its minorities.
Yes, sir. We all will be interested to know that.
So now let's go ahead. Now in the province of Punjab, population of Hindus, Sikhs, and Christians has diminished to less than 1%. Similarly, according to, now let us come to Sindh. So, a lady called Nandita Bhavnani in the Journal of South Asian Studies, 2016, volume 36, number 1, at pages 790 to 804, the population of non-Muslims in Sindh in 1941, that is that census, was 27%, which has diminished to 3%. So they have driven out how many Sindhis? I mean, how many Sindhi uh, who belong to minorities? 24% have been driven out. So this is, now let us come to Bangladesh. That's a different problem altogether.
Yes, sir.
See, there is a, I think, Hill. There is a gentleman called Hill and his associates. They have published a work called Demographic Impact of Partition on Bengal. It is, I think it was published, by a consortium of American universities. It has been published in 2005, and I think it is uh, this website is called ICCSSP, Princeton.edu. So it shows that population of undivided Bengal consisted of 55% Muslims, 42% Hindus, 3% tribals, which has now diminished, which diminished in 1951 to 22.5%. So according to the census of Bangladesh in 2011, the population of Hindus and tribals is 9.6%. So just see how much it has diminished
Yes, sir.
from 45 to 22.5. Even a country, which is uh, comparatively liberal and democratic and also secular.
Yes, sir.
So East Pakistan, what is now Bangladesh, first wave of distress exodus of non-Muslims took place in 1947 in the wake of partition, which continued unabated because it was Pakistan. In 1971, it was Pakistan, and atrocities of Pakistani army in Bangladesh are very well known. And
Yes, sir.
atrocities, covered all Hindus, Muslims, all. I mean, Buddhist. There's a sizable population in the Chittagong tract, in Bangladesh. So let
Yes,
us
sir.
continue. So uh, in 1964, there was a special, this requires special mention. Buddhist Chakmas were evicted from Chittagong hill track area of then East Pakistan. The second distress exodus took place in 1971. 1 crore people, 1 crore people emigrated to India. That was largest in the world history. And unprecedented atrocities were committed by the Pakistani army, which are fully documented. These have been catalogued in the studies by Kasturi Rangan, Marjolina Ziyech, Elvin Tofflier in 1997. They have reported that out of 10 million refugees, when Bangladesh came into existence, then only 6.8 million returned to Bangladesh. So 3.2 million, 32 lakhs did not return. So they are in India. So this is the power. After all, they are living without any documents. They require to be given
Yes, sir.
citizenship. Surely they now generations have spent in India. So this is the enormity of problem, and they were unwilling to return out of fear of persecution. And now let's come to the third wave. Third wave took place after the Islamization of the secular People's Republic of Bangladesh, founded by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. So a general called Ziaur Rahman, he seized power and ruled from 1977 till he was assassinated in 1981. For 4 years he ruled, and he was as tyrannical as the other Zia in Pakistan.
Yes, sir.
And then, his wife Khalida Zia came into power in 1991, and she ruled for 5 years up to 1996. And again, she ruled for 10 years. First time from 1991 to 1996, and then again from 2001 to 2006. So all these, all the horrible atrocities were committed on the uh, minorities in Bangladesh in these 14 years. So just see 32 lakh people living in India without documents, etc. So having regard to this enormity of problem, the Citizenship Amendment Act uh, has been enacted. We should not forget that from, Sindh, even today, uh, uh, via Rajasthan, lot of people immigrate.
Yes, sir.
So this is the enormity of problem. Now let us see Afghanistan. So Afghanistan was a modern democratic country under its 1964 constitution till 1977. Following the Soviet invasion and defeat of Soviet Union in 1979, the government, uh, I mean, eh, eh, there was this transition. So after 11th of September 2001, when the US invaded Afghanistan and Taliban government, so see, Taliban government ruled all those years from 79 to 2001. So, so see just what happened when the Taliban government fell. An agreement called the Bonn Agreement was arrived at, which mandated the framing of the constitution. So the present constitution of that is present constitution before seizure of power by Taliban, because Taliban doesn't believe in any constitutional form of government.
Yes, sir.
So uh, there was this constitution which was in force before the Taliban seized present power. Uh, Recently, in last year, there was a constitution which was approved by what is called Loya Jirga by consensus, and it was signed by the then President Hamid Karzai on 26th of January 2004. But even then, more than half of the that country, Afghanistan, was under Taliban rule, even when uh, this constitutional government was in power in the rest of Afghanistan. So Talibans do not believe in any constitutional form of government or recognize any rights of the minorities. So, uh, even otherwise, it's an Islamic republic. But I must say that Karzai and other his successors, they were uh, by and large, they did not commit any atrocities, but half of the country was still under Taliban rule. So, therefore, continuous immigration was there. So, this is the whole problem. So, with this problem, with this, let us now see what does the uh, so that's the enormity of problem.
So what does the Citizenship Amendment Act provide?
Yes, so let us see. So, Citizenship Amendment Act inserts in the Principal Act some provisions, sections 21B, section 6B, section clause D8 to clause D of section 7D, proviso to clause F of section 7D, clause double I to section 18B, and proviso to clause D of the third schedule of the Citizenship Act. Let's see now what they do. So, first of all, the first is clause B of section 1 of section 2. So that defines, the illegal migrant. So that's a migrant who has entered India without any legal documents, or who has entered India with a valid legal document but has stayed beyond the permitted time. So these are the two types of people who fall within that definition. Now, section 2, by adding the proviso to clause B of subsection 1 of section 2, has relaxed the harsh provision in favor of the persons of 6 religious minorities, that is Buddhists, Christians, Hindus, Jains, Parsis, and Sikhs, from these 3 countries, that is to say Afghanistan, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, who have entered India before 31st December 2014. So there's a cutoff date, the implication of which, if we have part 2, I will explain what are the implications of that. Uh, but now, due to constraint of time, uh, it will not be possible. Now, let us see what. Uh, so, so these can be exempted by the central government under Section 32B of the Passport Entry into India Act, or from the application of Foreigners Act, because otherwise they can be expelled. Now, Section 3 of the this Citizenship Amendment Act adds Section 8 B. Now, that Section 6B enables the central government or a specified authority to grant certificate of registration or certificate of naturalization to a person covered by the newly added proviso to section 2A, 21B, subject to making an application. So if someone answers that description, he can make an application, and after fulfilling the prescribed conditions, restrictions, and manner of applying for Indian citizenship, and subject to fulfillment of that condition. So it's not unconditional. If he is from one of those countries, and if he has emigrated due to the persecution, then only he will be given Indian citizenship. So conditions are very stringent even now. So then, then he will be, then he applies, and then either central government or the authority appointed by the central government, if it allows, then the grantee of registration of natural certificate registration or naturalization certificate, he will be deemed to be an Indian citizen from the date of his entry into India. So this is the ameliorating provision. So subsection 3 is a consequential provision, providing that if any proceedings are pending against him, then those will abate naturally. When he has obtained the uh, Indian citizenship, all those proceedings must terminate. They must come to an end. And he will not be disqualified on the ground of pendency of proceedings. So, nor his application be rejected on that ground if he is otherwise found to be qualified under Section 6B. Now, an applicant under Section 6B will not be deprived of his rights and privileges to which he was entitled to uh, the citizenship on the date of receipt of application on the ground of his making an application. So his application will not stand rejected.
Yes, sir.
Now let us see next provision. So section 3 subsection 4 excludes tribal area Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram and Tripura as per 6th schedule of the constitution and the area covered by inner line notified by Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulation of 1873 from the operation of this act. Those are some special areas. Section 5 inserts, clause EEI, EE1, I think, in section 18. It empowers the central government to make rules regarding the conditions, restrictions, and the manner of granting registration and naturalization. So those rules are going to be in place. Section 6 of the Citizenship Act adds a proviso to Clause D of third schedule, the effect of which, what is the effect? The effect is to reduce the aggregate period required, aggregate period of residence in India or service of Government of India from 11 years to 5 years. That's an
Yes, sir.
ameliorating provision that will enable, such a person who has faced so much of atrocities, distress. So I don't know what's wrong with this. So these sections 2, 3, 5, and 6 have been enacted to remove the disqualification of an illegal immigrant under such dire circumstances. He has to satisfy the authority, either government of India or the person or authority appointed by him, that I am belonging to that one of those six minorities from those three countries, and I have come to India because of my persecution. On satisfying the government of India in that behalf, he will be granted Indian citizenship. So this is the whole lot of uh, 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 this is the whole uh, provision.
I Thank you, sir. That's all. It's long
It's
video. We
not
will
everyone,
eagle.
no, everyone has been given. No, not like that. Very stringent conditions are there. And those people, when I have already enumerated how, minorities were driven out of these three countries. I think Afghanistan, I did not treat in. There were, I think, about 3 lakh people, Hindus and Sikhs principally, who were living there. Now they are almost nil. After Taliban recently came into power, there has been further immigration from that country on a very dire circumstances. Just so, if necessary, we'll have part one, but that will require some research. So, I will take some time for that.
Of course, sir. We will be eagerly waiting for part two, and of course, we will want to know about the Afghanistan and all about the countries how they are dealing with immigrants. And that's all for the day, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.